Hi, everybody. We're here to talk about field day. It started off as a recap. And then as I'm going through the recap and I'm hunting for pictures and driving down the road, voice to text and messages and stuff about this, it made me realize that how incredible field day has grown for us and how much fun it is. I say all the time it's my favorite weekend in the summer, and it really is. I so enjoy it, in case you can't tell with how I run around like a chicken with my head cut off prior to and during it. It is, I jokingly say it's the most fun you can have with your clothes on. It is just, it's a blast. So it got me thinking about not just talking about this year, but how we got where we are, the things that we've changed, the things that we've done, and where we are. 2022. So I started helping out with field day. I went to a field day as a guest out at a campground. What year was that? 20 or 21? And I got there and I walked around and nobody said hi. Like, no, nobody really talked. I went to kind of learn about amateur radio and I didn't really talk to anybody. And I wasn't really sure what was going on. And I didn't go to the next one. And I think the next one I went to was there one at the Lansing Fire Station or someplace. And I talked to a couple people there. And then I did the 21. Was that the first year at Duesenberry? Or 2019 or 20, whatever the first year was at Duesenberry, I went there and had a freaking blast. It was so much fun, it wasn't even funny. And then the next year I asked to be more involved and became the summer field day chair. So from 2022 to current, I've been heavily involved in doing everything in the world that I could to try to promote it and build it to what it is now. And as I got looking through the pictures of there and here, that's what the ones that were just running and just a lot of fun. 4 years of continuous improvement. At first class, I was scoring, this, and this. And I never forget, Jerry said, this is about food. Yeah, score's good. This is about food. And it drove me nuts for a little while because I'm like, I want to make contacts. I want to do this and I want to do that. I want more antennas and I want more radios. And I'm just go, 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 go. And these guys are looking at me like, you don't get it, man. This is about food. And just, they were so disgusted with me because I'm go, 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 and just really wanted to keep going. And I didn't know what I didn't know about how much fun it could be and still have that work. And it's just been so fun to see how we've grown steadily and how everything has happened. Like each season, we had better planning, stronger infrastructure, and it's treating it like a true trying to stay on the air. We stay on the air. We've getting things figured out with the help of this group. This year, we took ownership to a lot of the volunteer positions. A lot of I tried really hard to do that stuff in the past to just take on all our responsibility, and this year I just couldn't. This full-time job stuff is no fun. So it didn't happen. And the team really, everybody in this room stepped up and it was incredible. And I really would like the score's not our goal. It's there, but what really, really was cool and what I've learned the last few years is how our team grows and how we look forward to spending that time with each other. And that it's made the club move in that right direction. I mean, the fun that we have when we're there and the camaraderie that we have is just it's I don't see it at other people's field days. Like I see the stuff on social media and even the boss here, my director, he spent an incredible amount of time watching all the other Facebook posts and the YouTube stuff. And the number of people that see our posts and our pictures comment about how we do what we do to give each other space, but still be up each other's you know what's and right close and we can talk and work and we still just have a great time. And it did really make me realize at the end of this year, again, reminded me that it has nothing to do with the ARRL score sheet, because by the time they get to getting your numbers around, you've already another year older. But it's watching how we make it all work and we take ownership to that stuff. And it's just been really incredible. 2022, 1,800 points, basically, 1,868 points. We got some bonus points figured out. We got some stuff done, and we really started kind of figuring things out. The next year, we really did more with the network, and we got some more contacts. We actually operated as a 6A, and this year we should have operated as a 6A. We would have gotten a few more points for that because we had at one point 8 transmitters on the air. And the classification says the maximum number of transmitters for 15 minutes is not much. We could have operated 6A this year, no problem. But 4A is just an easy. Our score this year was 3,191 points, but we still have 300 points that have to be verified. So we still will have beat everything continuously year after year. And the entire time we're doing that, it's getting easier and easier and more fun. And we're working with each other to really figure all this stuff out. The preparation that goes into it, I try to make it as easy as possible. This was a map from a few years ago when I said there's a parking area. This is where we're going to have some antennas in red. These are potential camping sites. And we've got better over the years of figuring all that layout out. And it's just gotten easier as we have stuff, but you don't recognize it because you see people pull in or the visitors that come just kind of see the stuff in the air and think that it happens. But this is the first year I haven't gotten to do 13 colonies in quite a while. I just yesterday or the day before got a couple antennas back in the air. I still haven't got my coax back into my house. Like my station's still completely torn apart. As if you see the back of that black trailer, it's pretty much everything I own. I bring for anybody in the world
Not
that
till
needs
midnight,
it.
Jamie.
I know, right? I did put my stuff. I threw some antennas in the air, and I got 2 stations pretty quick. But this will be the first year in a long time I haven't got to do 13 colonies, which is an incredibly fun event. But ultimately, I come back to how much fun we have with the volunteers that are there. We all get together and we throw in stuff in trees and tangling stuff up. And as we're putting up the masts and putting things up, it just works. I mean, we put that tower up this year in a half hour and we monkeyed around and did some more anchoring here and there and made some changes. And we're getting that down pat. I mean, that's pretty doggone fast and just fun. And every single space along the way, from the points organizers to Jules organizing the food, and we're going to cover all that stuff. But everything that y'all did to reach out to a public official, to reach out to our appointed official, the director here, we strong-armed him into coming. All of those things that you did made a big difference. The ease of being able to just call Ellie up and say, we've already got the approval for paying for the porta potty. Can we just pay for it with the club card right now and then, instead of me paying for it and then her writing a check and all that stuff? It's just all of the buy-in from the group has made it even more fun and even better. I really want to recognize this building, the Department of Emergency Response, because the director recognizes it as a full-fledged RACES event. He can give us the undying support of what happens here. This gets reported to the Tompkins County Legislature as the largest emergency exercise that Tompkins County puts on in its entirety. You got to understand, there's nobody else that does what we do, not only for the communications part of it, but there's not a fire department or a police department that activates themselves or participates in a training for 24 hours straight, let alone the time that we put into it beforehand. The largest drill in the county, the airport drill, when that happens, that's only a morning. There's nobody else in this entire county that does what this group does. And that's pretty cool. That's incredible to be able to report that to the legislature, that's happening in this county because of what y'all do. And we're having fun doing it. It's pretty cool. The things that we had this year from here was the RACES trailer that we were able to have get on the air station in, which was obviously we had the generator along with that. That trailer itself with the awning and everything that came with it. The light tower, we had a problem, and that was a blessing. We actually had a failure with one of the light towers that mechanically failed, and the county mechanics fixed it last week. We used the county truck to move the RACES trailer and the light plant on that Friday morning. That saved me. That's usually all money out of my pocket. In the past, I've spent well over $1,000 on field day, just so you all know. And I got the receipts to prove it because I tried to write it off for my accountant. He said I couldn't. But we had an AED from here this year on site. The med kit that we have in the RACES trailer, as well as the other stuff that we have, that's all as a part of what the group that's within this room right here, that's within the RACES team, makes that happen and allows that to happen. The network this year, with Ed was absolutely incredible. And of all the pictures that I got, Ed, I never got a picture of the back of that trailer somehow. Really? I never did. And there wasn't any on the shared file either. But that's my mess there on the left. Literally a couple car batteries running the network with wires running everywhere. And Jamie would always show up just in the nick of time and get our cables all sorted out. And it looked like an octopus fighting 6 other octopuses. It worked, but it was always scary as hell for me. Right up to the last minute, you guys always pulled it off and made it work. And we always had connectivity issues, and this year, Ed was incredible. Not only did we have his Starlink there that gave everybody their internet with an entire wireless network, but all of our logging was wireless, and it was absolutely incredible. And that was a milestone that'll be tough to beat ever in the rest of the history of our field day, because to be able to have Kirk all the way over at his site and me sitting at my site, and we can instant messenger each other and we can see what each other's doing, and to have our dupe log. I mean, it's always worked, but what Ed brought to the party this year was second to none. And we would not have had the success that we had without that. So thank you. Walk around at some of the different stations and some of the different setups, and I didn't get everybody everywhere depending on the pictures, but that's Kent's CW spot where he did sideband and CW and had incredible success there. We'll get to that in a minute, but Kevin grabbed us, what was it, 11 satellite stations, and the number one that counted for our bonus, and the rest of them that counted as contacts, and just effortless. It seems like, these are the things that we've owned, and it just makes it so much easier for everybody involved, and just fun, and just really cool to see it work and see it happen. Doug's site with Miss Harmony giving us the business. Cool to be able to see we did get credit for being able to use dual power, because Hojo had his solar panels up and so did Doug. So we could say that we had solar and our generator system. That's an extra 100 points. So that's pretty cool. And just the different operator setups are pretty neat to see. Carl with his spot was my neighbor, and it was Carl's first field day with us, and it was an awesome addition. I'm really thankful that you were there with us. His bedroom right there in the back corner was about the only thing that Gus didn't walk around and pee on. Hopefully. No, I'm just kidding. He's pretty good about peeing on most of them, but that was a great setup, a great spot. I think Carl learned a few things. We'll talk about some of the things that we learned about noise floors and all that. It's a pretty cool story that we had dealing with a noise floor thing and found out what it was and what it was about. Kevin's spot, where not only did he do his satellite stuff, but sideband and CWs. How many CW contacts did you end up getting this?
I was hoping you'd tell me.
I don't know. We can look at the log later, but Ed sent me all that stuff, but I didn't dive into it and break it down for this, because I finished this about 3 hours ago. So on my station there, I had a monitor set up so be able to use the extension monitor, but I honestly was pretty much just the radio and logging right there in my little spot. It's just cool to have people bouncing around to the different stations and see Jerry's humble abode with the best field day diner in the history of the world. Ooh, yeah. We've talked a lot about different sites. The boss keeps saying, we could do this. We could activate as a club and also get POTA points if we did this and if we did that. And we've talked about it. And to be able to get to a state park, they won't let you stay up at night. They won't let you run generators. There's so many places. We could go to the Dryden Fire Station out at the helipad. Be a great spot. Lots of public around. Quiet RF. I play radio there on occasion. Brookendale Fire Station would let us go there too. Crappy cell service, no internet, anything like that. You can't get in the building. Decent parking. There's a lot of places that we could go, but I love this place. It's a RF hole. It's the worst possible place you could try to operate RF, but you know what? We seem to make it work. I was joking with Janice earlier. I talked to Freeville, France, Florida, and Portugal all on the same antenna from there. Honestly, like that's it's just a weird site, and it just always works.
I got Hawaii.
Yeah, that's right. So it just works. It allows us to do what we want. We can get there early, set up late, run generators, and just more importantly, Gus and Harmony and they can do their thing. We can have what spaces we want and sprawl out how we want. And I every time I think about a better site or a different access or public facing, I think about all these things that we get and what we don't get. And to me, I love the Duesenberry place. The other thing that it does is it's a club that's dying because of the politics involved with that community. And we give them $200 to use that site. A lot of places, if we tried to use the site the way that we do and what we do, it would cost us way more than that. A lot of our club members, some active and some inactive, are members at Duesenberry, and it just supports a cause that I also think is important for us to be able to help members that help us do other stuff. Some of the members that would normally be there this year, I picked on Ross because he was busy. He had something that he really had to do. And he messaged me that he really missed us and really missed being there, but he really had to be where he was. But different station layouts, we have easy separation there. It's fun because we're always right there. We're kind of on each other. I've been to the other field days. I've the guys over in Portland, they're at Camp Awada, and they're all jammed in a room that's about this size, and radios are screaming and you're yelling and it's just really tough. And the way we do it, we get to have our own space. We get to have our own stuff set up, and we've got I love it. To get on the air station this year was pretty much a null. We got one contact and one person, and whether she sat there and hammered a bunch out or not really didn't matter. For what we get for the bonus points, it's awesome, but it is what it is. If we make one, we make one, and I'm happy with that. I feel like although the future of amateur radio starts with Get on the Air, it's a difficult time. A lot of the schools are gone. People are on vacations. The graduation parties alone on that weekend are tough. You're not going to get the future of amateur radio during the middle of graduation season. It's really tough. And, when you look at what it takes to do it last year, Kevin had a pretty good, what did you have, 4 or 5 people? You had a pretty good group last year. And so you think about, we could do this, we could do that. We've got these message boards that the 911 Center has on a grant. And then the boss actually said, we could he goes, yeah, get a hold of somebody down there, the storage place or the vet place across the road, put a message board up, ham radio event up this way. Like we literally we had a radio spot this year. Did any of y'all hear the radio spot? Right. Nobody listens to the radio anymore, but we had a radio spot this year on Light 97 and 103.7 and the AM stations. It ran for 3 weeks.
It's good.
It was a great radio spot. The 911 Center covered all that for us. There's a public bet, and they finessed that, and it did cost them some money, but they put that all together and covered it for us for the Races team for the event. And so we had the most publicity we've ever had. We still only had a couple people show up. So my personal opinion is I love the spot enough that I'm willing to let go of the go-to part of it to be able to continue to be in that spot. But we can talk about that later. The most ever advertising and no bump in visits. We did have a served agency show up. The director, my boss, Mike Stately, showed up, and he is a served agency. He's the 911 Center director. So we did get credit for that.
And
Randy? And Randy Brown, the Tompkins County Legislature, showed up. Joe set that up, and he came, and that was awesome. It was awesome for a couple things, because he is one of the voting people that's on the Public Safety Committee that's within the legislature that recognizes what the Races group does for the county. So for him to be able to get the walk around and see what he did then was really
Some comments. He was entirely impressed.
Yeah.
He was absolutely amazed by what we did.
Yeah. We talked him through what we do and how we do. But again, they go right back to this, food and fellowship. Good food builds great clubs, 600 contacts and 6 million calories. I'll stand by that all day. Jerry fed me all weekend. But we all do it, we all walk around, everybody brings something to the table. Jules organized food that saved, I don't think I could have fed as many people for the pennies that Jules figured that out with in my life. We budgeted $200, and what did you spend?
$21.
Yeah. Right.
76
meat tray, the rolls, like that. Yeah. So, and Kevin, with pizzas and all the stuff that you all brought, we ate. If you went home hungry, that is your own fault, because there was an incredible amount of food, sweets and otherwise, all weekend long.
Next year, I'll try to make a spreadsheet to send around to people.
Oh, cool.
They have a better
Yeah.
idea as to what.
Yeah, I think if we did an RSVP thing, so we know the people that are going to come and plan for dinner and stuff like that, you could. But even at Tenafly, we put a lot of time into this. I've thought really long and hard over the last 4 years of our antenna plan and how it works. And we pretty much stuck with this other than right by the trap house. Jerry had his vehicle right there. So we just shifted a few things around and we never put up the NBIS antenna. But everything that we had worked really well. The separation was good. We'll talk about some of the interference things that we had and some of the ideas that we've got for it. But I put a tremendous amount of time into thinking about our spacing of our antennas, how the transformers are. This year, we actually had a little bit better takeoff spot for the 130-foot end fed because we pulled it out off of the mast. This year, we put a guy wire up higher so we could pull it tight. That 130-foot wire went out over the creek, and the transformer was out off of that mast, probably 10 or 15 feet. And the counterpoint, the coax worked as a counterpoint straight down. And it was, I took my little AM radio and walked right up to that. That's my not my nano or what's the word I'm looking for. I use that like an easy NA. Yeah. I took that AM radio and I hit the record button and my coax, like I was really impressed with our antenna plan this year that like end firing and side firing interference, we really didn't have any problems. And everything that we had other than my fan dipole that we cooked, that I saved, worked really well. We could have put a few more antennas up, but I don't know that we needed to. But we'll take that advice from anybody that wants to otherwise. Propagation was terrible on Saturday morning. We'll talk about that. Digital radios and the noise in general, we're going to really go through that. Little tiny things that I think that we can improve on outside of it, outside of ourselves. If nothing changes, we were still incredibly successful and an incredible amount of fun. But the little things that we did early on, the fan dipole, I had a weird problem with my radio and with that antenna right off the bat. We played with CW with it for a bunch and we band hopped once and didn't tune on that antenna, and the radio cut itself back and then stayed there. I didn't realize, but in the 710, in the older software or the older firmware that's there, once it folds back like 4 or 5 times.
Jamie, did you ever figure out what was wrong?
Yeah, we didn't tune at one point when we band hopped and we had a high SWR and it folded back and stayed back. We did a reset on the radio and it took right off, going back to 100 watts, tuned, everything was fine. The fan dipole's fine. It was our fault. We were playing, made some great contacts right off the bat with it. And we ended up taking it down and throwing up a different antenna. Didn't need to. I just didn't trust it. We were running out of time. It was that morning. We just threw up a different antenna. The end feds worked really well. The G5RV, I only put up for about 20 minutes and took it right back down because everything else was working great. And you guys ran verticals for your digital stuff. I think Carl ran a vertical for a little while, didn't you?
No.
Didn't you? Kevin, did you ever run a vertical? You were running a wire too, right? I know the digital guys ran verticals, and we'll talk about that. Saturday morning was just awful. I mean, everybody complained all over Facebook, all over the social media groups for field day. The field day page itself was hammered Saturday morning about how terrible the propagation was, how high the noise was, how it was awful. And it was probably 5 o'clock or so, and it was a switch. And everything got quiet, and then holy crap, it was incredible. But real heavy pileups, and it was just really hard to find any space. It was really the craziest I had seen a band scope since the few years that I've been doing field day. It was busy. Did you guys find a slot on FT8? It was pretty even hard to find though, wasn't it?
Not really.
Yeah.
You can't spot, you just go.
Yeah, just find it, right. Saturday night, it got awesome. Things just got quiet. It was cool. It opened up in a way that it was just really, oh, you can see right there. That's a rope that's holding that, where that rope is on the left, just above Carl's red hat. That's actually the halyard that's holding that. That's the transformer for that 130-foot end. So that's how far off it was on that antenna. What did we have that mast up? Probably 35 or 40 feet. I think, was that about what we figured it was? I think we were going for 50 and we ended up at 45 or so, 40 feet or so. It doesn't look much because Carl's so tall and he's far away. That's a 12-foot painter's pole on the right and a 20-foot mast behind it. So I bet we were up 40 feet. We had the 130-foot end fed going due west. We had a trap dipole running east-west. We had a 73-foot random running due south. And we had a couple verticals in opposite corners. Kevin, you had a end fed running north-south.
Yep.
And then Kirk, you had a running due south.
Yeah.
And then Kent, you had one running due south end feds, right?
Yep.
So we had an incredible number of wires in the air with good enough separation that we really, other than the digital interference and an occasional CW interference, it just worked. I mean, for a while, Kirk and I were in the same band at opposite ends of things because I was watching, I could see him in the network, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but I knew where he was. And I could see when I get closer to him, I'd start to see things a little bit, and I just moved back up. We were in the same band within 50 yards of each other, operating no problem. That was pretty cool. We got contacts. I think that's last year's picture, right, Doug? That's not
It
this.
is because my pictures aren't in the right place.
Yeah. What's that?
Pictures on the wall aren't in the right place.
Yeah, that's an old one. So we asked this year before field day started to have, we really wanted to hammer on FT8 and digital contacts and CW. And man, you guys delivered. You guys had more contacts on FT8 by dark the first day than you had the last 2 years combined. You guys knocked it out of the park with CW and digital. So I'd love to hear your guys' like report at some point of what worked really well. And when we think about over the next few months, when we talk about things, what didn't work, if you were power wise. And one of the suggestions that I really want to do for planning next year, when I get to the end, please remind me, I want to really do some whisper tests on Friday, but for Saturday morning. But you guys knocked it out of the park. Jerry, I think that's last year's picture too, right? Or the year before. That was, but it was incredible. Like it definitely caused a lot of interference on 20, but it was manageable. There was only one time, and it was hilarious. It was at dinner time. It was all quiet, and it was everybody laughed about it. Doug, everything was all quiet. Everybody's eating. I'm like, oh, I'm going to sneak over and play for a little while. And I got on. Were you on 20? We were on 20, and I just built a pile up. I just starting to get like bang, 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 and I'm going down through, and I'm using my recorder button. They have two-way QRZ, and bang, 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 and all of a sudden. So I had all my filtering up because everything was so quiet and everybody was eating. And all of a sudden my scope just went, and I went, these guys all laughed.
You knew it was me.
Yeah. So it was definitely a problem, but it was still doable. Like it was, and we'll talk with Kurt with some of his experiences with bandpass filters and what you couldn't do, and the different radios, what the different radios even couldn't do in that space. It was interesting to see the different makes and models, and everybody knows that I'm not an Icon fan, but it was definitely interesting to see how two stations sitting right next to each other, how one radio could filter it out and be usable, and the other one completely couldn't. And in the Racy's trailer, that radio, we were able to filter stuff out and make a contact with our get on the air person right next to Jerry Hammer and FT8, and could filter it right out and make the contact. And the other radios that were there couldn't even operate at one point because of it. So that was just kind of eye-opening again. CW just absolutely killed it. So you guys ended up with, I don't even remember what it was. It's on the other sheet, but quadrupled what you had for contacts with CW over the last few years. And last year was incredible because we had a guest come and sit down and just crank some up. But you guys nailed it this year. It was absolutely impressive. I ended up with, it was over 200, wasn't it, Kent?
I believe so.
Yeah. Really, really impressive. Your setups were awesome. The commitment of the time that you put into it was incredible. Joe, that's your last year picture. I know that for sure because that's my old camper, but I didn't get one of you sitting next to my rig running. I run around that field day for 2.5 days and I never take a single dang picture. I'm the worst.
Okay, next year I'll do that.
Jules will be that. So we got contacts. You guys, CW, you knocked it out of the park. It was really, really incredible. Kirk had his brand new rig there, his brand new Mark II. It was awesome display. I think one of the things that really stood out to me was being able to do that weird little filtering stuff, knowing your rig enough to be able to find the menus, do your filtering when you're trying to grab this station right where there's a pile up or somebody that you can hear, being able to narrow things down, understanding your radio enough to use those filters was definitely worth its while. When I went over and visited Kirk at one point, there was some stuff going on. And what I was really disappointed with some of the new settings and the new firmwares of the new radio that 7300 is there's not an auto gain. And it just really killed your ability to either have the gain screaming its head off on fast or so slow it was almost like propagation fading. And in the middle was just noise that you couldn't get away from. That was a definite damper of being able to filter when I was hanging out with Kurt. But I think the bandpass filter saved your butt.
No, it wasn't.
Wasn't you? Was it Carl? Somebody? I have the bandpass filter.
I have the 15.
Yeah. And in the past, you'd relied on the bandpass filters heavily.
Yeah, but I never found them all that
Yeah.
beautiful.
So are you taking notes on which radios are good and which are not so good with rejecting nearby signals?
I feel like, yeah, I'm not gonna say it out loud, but yeah, it was obvious. It was absolutely obvious that day. I don't know if the people who want to say what they did or didn't have for success, but
That seems to me for next year, that should be something that's discussed.
yeah, I think we can solve some of our own problems though, honestly. I feel like if we only operate, we'll talk about if we only operate digital on some of the other bands, Hojo's volunteered to take on a project between now and next year to maybe try to come up with some filters, maybe try to come up with an operating schedule or something like that. Because I think a lot of the other clubs that I was seeing on Facebook, what they had said was no matter what they did, they had a hard time with digital being a problem. And that what was most, and we'll get to that, but doing some testing and doing some of that because it's worth it. It's awesome to have you guys. I mean, that's what you like to do, and we want you there. So we're going to support that no matter what. We're always gonna hope. But it was definitely interesting to see where I struggled because I couldn't remember some of the filtering on the 991A. Ed and I were in the trailer, and it's just like crap. And it took me probably 5 minutes to fumble around and find the settings again. And once I found them, we got right in there, no problem. And we were able to get rid of the interference. We were able to hear the station. We made things back where it was, and we made a contact, and it was comfortable for the rest of the weekend after we got that set. So that's where I have the preparation in there, is just being familiar with your setup enough to figure out how to sort through that stuff, the filtering and, the reliable equipment. Last year, some of the people that were at my station had the Zygu, the 51, whatever the heck that little thing was, and the front end completely smoked on that. Just little weird stuff that happened with some of those radios, and it was interesting. So that's my point on reliable equipment. The band strategy itself, I didn't get a picture of how we have the network, how we can communicate with each other and see who's where. That's awesome. And again, with the network that Ed had set up, that was so impressive and so helpful. But I feel like we were really good about seeing, like, if I was sitting on a band and I wasn't making contacts because everybody I was chasing was a dupe or something else, I got the heck out of it. And I moved to a different band and I had hopped on the works, or I did something here or there. And that's really, I feel like y'all did that this year no matter what. You didn't see people camping out on bands that weren't overly productive. And I could see them moving around and hunting around, and it was really cool to see. And I feel like you were definitely bouncing around with being flexible, hopping around in the bands and experimenting and listening. So the technical side of where I think our problems really end up being is we create a lot of our own problems. And I've realized that, but I've never really conveyed that to this group. And I never really thought about conveying it to this group until this year when Carl and I had the experience that we had. We're right next to each other. And one of the things that I learned, and this is what part of this setup was, this was my mess on my kitchen counter working on the network. And the power to the network system was loud. The network itself was a little bit loud. The power supply to my laptop, if that tough book goes dead, the power supply screams its guts out, and it's so much noise and interference, it was useless within 20 foot of any radio. But if I kept it topped off and plugged in all the time, I'd get a birdie every now and then, and that's it. So I never leave that radio. I always leave that laptop plugged in no matter what. I then did some research with the Air Force Mars guys, because the Air Force, you all know what most Air Force frequencies are what? AM. So those guys know how to have crap that's quiet. They have interference problems all the time. Janice knows more about AM than I'll ever even think about. You probably have the quietest RF house in the history of the world, right? With your awesome AM stuff.
Yeah, I walk around with a portable. shortwave radio, track down them wall warts, they take
Yeah.
them out of the wall. Bring a hammer with it.
So this was actually me not only setting the network up, but I learned that day because I was using the power supply. I was using the batteries in my one little field portable rig. And I said, you know what? I'm going to sit here and I was going to get cat control. So I fired my radio up and I'm like, what the hell's going on? It was obnoxious. I couldn't even see the screen. And so I started nitpicking stuff and I made it my mission for that couple weeks prior to field day to knock all the noise out of everything that was there. I just never conveyed that to this group because I didn't realize how important it was as a whole. And I think what we see during field day is like Jerry was one of the first ones there this year, other than the trailer stuff that I dropped off. You probably turned your stuff on. It was stone cold quiet. Right. And then we all start showing up with our vehicles and fuel pumps and backup cams and Bluetooth this and phones and wall warts. And next thing you know, the noise floor is freaking through the roof. And then we do it all to ourselves. So I feel like a lot of that is us just dissecting our own devices and understanding how we can make that stuff quieter. So I want to, quiet field day 2027. I want to take time between this year and next year about just reducing noise and thinking about what you do so that we can have less RF noise. The generator noise wasn't bad, but it was kind of obnoxious. That light plant was incredible, but it was right outside my door. And it was not bad, but I didn't love it. When we turned it off Sunday, we went, "Ooh, that is loud," because it's on from the time we get there until the time we leave. But it was definitely when we turned that thing off, we went, because in the past, I ran my inverter generator way over in the woods and another inverter over here or there. But having that light tower is cool and it's awesome power. And more importantly, something that we don't think about, I spent over $80 in fuel just for my station over a weekend. Kirk always brought fuel. Kevin always brings fuel. Like we've always used fuel, and what that cost for all those generators, the Races team supported that this year. Dewar paid for all of that fuel this year. It came out of diesel from those light plants. Didn't cost us a penny. That's money and savings right there. The light plant didn't really create any RF. I was surprised. The orange light plant that we had was quieter RF with those LEDs than the white one was. So we decided that one was going to be one that would be assigned to the Races team as one of the brand new ones. That's an official move that we made after field day. But check your stuff at home next time you're playing around when you're bored. Check your chargers, your power supplies, look for ferrites, just measure your noise floor, turn your stuff off in your house, pretend you're working that weird DX that you're trying to figure out how to run split on and you're still trying to hear them, and turn stuff back on and see what changes. Play with your laptop charger and see how loud it is when your laptop's totally dead and it's working its butt off versus just that little tiny trickle. It made all the difference in the world for me. That charger that I got that I found on eBay that was a weird manufacturer that powers those tough books for the military for those AM usages, that power supply is stone cold quiet, but the Panasonic one that comes with the tough book is standing next to a drummer. It is brutal, useless for radio. So just do that. Between now and next field day, I think you can help yourself a lot. That's my inverter generator that I ran out in the woods that was absolutely stone cold quiet on the net. Didn't ever create any problems. And it was also quiet to not hear something screaming its guts out. But thinking about the generator sources that we've got, any ferrites, cords, things like that. Even just when I ripped the grounding plug off of the one cord because we kept tripping the GFI, the noise floor went from where it did up a little bit. That ground that was going back through that light plant, that made a difference. I saw it on the scope later. So common mode, chokes, cable management, grounding, filtering, thinking about that stuff. Simple stuff we all know how to do. We just don't think about it. And it's my fault. I own it. I never thought about mentioning it to y'all, how about it be important. So evaluate your station, build some chokes, bring some different stuff. Think about how you can improve the one antenna that you're using. Whether you say, hey, you know what? Like Hojo really liked that terminated dipole. You ended up using your buddy pole more than anything else because that worked really well for you. But that terminated dipole worked really, really well for a while. I think it ended up working the whole time. It just matter if you were doing better with your other antenna, less interference. But if you want to use one of those antennas that you saw there this year, or you have an idea for an antenna that you think we should own, let me know. And I'll get it for the Races team and we'll have it for field day. If you say, hey, you know what, we should have this or that, let me know. And between now and next year, we'll have it. and we will build it up and we'll test it and we'll have it for the team and we'll have it for field day. But if you're there and you know how to mentor somebody on how to make a station quiet, by all means, that's a presentation on its own about how to make stuff quiet. Projects throughout the year, thinking about your antenna workshops of if we want to do those antennas or experiment with them, a digital night of learning that as good as these guys are with digital, like that's something else we could do for our presentations. Having those being used and being able to troubleshoot different spacing on antennas and things like that. That's drill stuff that we should figure out for our races team also, to figure out interference and what will and won't work. When we've got Jerry sitting in the trailer sending a message from WinLink, is it going to cripple us trying to communicate with Albany or a hospital someplace? It's all stuff we should know. So that's stuff that's my goal that we'll build as within our team to work on. The computer test, seeing what's going, and station inspections in general. That station inspection stuff, that came from what I'll tell Carl's. Can I tell the story, Carl? So Carl's laptop we were just trickling your battery, right? We were charging your battery. You're running off a battery the whole time. I needed a charger. So he grabs my Chinese charger. I came from Temu or Amazon or something. It was the one you saw in one of those pictures. Little crappy charger. And ran it to an extension cord, plugged it in my camper, and off it's going. And I'm like, holy crap. I sat back down. I was up doing something. I sat back down. I'm like, what the heck happened? Like I was like a bull in a china shop. Everything is gone. I reach up and I unplug it, and the noise floor goes, woof, gone. Plug it back in, unplug it, woof, gone. Like, wow, that charger is that dirty, or the cord or something somewhere. But it was just really eye-opening, and it made me think that I really wanted to mention this stuff to everybody. So figuring that stuff out between now and whenever, so that we know to not cause our own problems for yourself and for somebody else. But I have our vision: better teamwork, better preparation, better stations, better noise floor. The better teamwork, the only thing I'd ask for is more fun, more people to come, because our team was incredible. Like, everybody was waiting, let's go, let's do this. It was awesome. The preparations, I feel like I could have done better for that, having the stuff there sooner, having a few other little things that I own that I feel like I didn't prepare for as well. And I own that, and I'll deal with that. The better stations, I mean that only by understanding your station better, not quality of gear or anything that I'm hammering on. And the noise floor, I'm going to blame it on all of us. So every volunteer everywhere, Jules, you weren't here when we were talking about all the volunteers everywhere, but not only just y'all that are there, the volunteers that are there, but your families and your partners and everybody else that puts up with you being gone the whole weekend and being there. Ed was there the entire time, slept in his truck, and there's chores that didn't get done at your homes, and I appreciate it. I appreciate to the families that didn't have you when you were there to make our field day better, and I thank you for that. But the volunteers here that happened, everything from the food to the sections that y'all owned for the bonus points, to Kent putting up with me hounding him for a report that he gave me 4 days ago, to like all of that mattered, and it was a big thing that everybody did. And I can't thank you enough. The Races team for being there in the 911 center, Ed and his incredible network, Jules, the food queen, and everybody that built us contacts. So
I think it was really good that you did that presentation and kind of made sure to delegate out and help.
that was your fault. You made everybody do it, and I thank you for that.
Well, I think it was good that you did. I think you need to let more people help, and you did. And that was.
Yeah, I was in a very different spot this year with this job that I have now. I'm usually off for a couple months just leading up to field day. And then right after field day, I go away for a while. And this year, with working here, it was very different. And it was awesome to have all the help and all the buy-in. And it was incredible. It made me realize that it's one of those things that I feel like I may have. So I tried to get my head around why we had less people there, and the people that I talked to, out of me worrying, am I pushing too hard to make it too much of a competition? Are we driving people away or this or that? And the people that everybody was like, oh, I had this going on or this going on. And it was really awesome to have that support and that buy-in. And it made me realize that maybe it wasn't fair for me taking on all that, not giving you all the opportunity, right? If I hogged all of that stuff, that I didn't give the other people the chance to buy in. And if that was the case, I apologize for it, but I was really, really thrilled with how it went this year. It's really cool. Is that the picture you took, Carl, or Kent? One of you guys took that picture from the woods?
I love that picture.
Was it? Ken, is that one you took?
That is.
Yeah, so that would be like 10 o'clock at night. That's the light tower lit up in the air out in the field and way back in the woods.
I really enjoy doing the non-radio stuff, so you guys can go play and have fun.
It's cool to have you there.
This is fun for me,
Yeah.
doing the non-radio stuff. And even Oreo, our cat, was in the trailer, and he loved watching everybody
Yeah.
out the window what you were doing.
Jamie, given the location of Dusenberry, all of the antennas we had are essentially NVIS. Okay? Right?
No, we had 20, I mean, my antenna was 33 feet in the air. That end fed was damn near 30 feet in the air.
Well, it's still primarily NVIS, any wire antenna in a horizontal mode, except for the verticals.
Depends on the
Like, no.
frequency.
Yeah.
Depends on the frequency.
My question I'm reading up to is a monoband Moxon. I'm thinking of building one.
Yeah.
I'm wondering how it would be work in that environment.
I think Moxon, the biggest concern there is how directional it has to be, right?
Yeah, well, I would use the Armstrong method to make it.
Right, yeah.
Change it around. I won't bring a rotor.
Yeah.
But thinking of setting up a station primarily with a 20-meter monoband or Moxon at about 20 feet.
Yeah, the big thing is getting it in the air and supporting that whole, that's a lot of support, like the Moxons and even that trap dipole, once I got that up at home, holy crap, it's a lot of work getting it up. I think part of the reason we use, and I'm all for it, bring whatever the hell you want to bring. We'll help you put it in the air.
Well,
It's,
I got to think about research.
yeah, it's Moxons are tough. You might be able to get away with, so I was one of the things I asked Hojo and the things we can talk about is how much the trees there affect us or hurt us or not, but you could get a Moxon in the middle of the island of trees really easy and use all the trees to support it. You wouldn't be able to turn it.
Also, I got ideas how to support
Yeah.
that, so problem.
Yeah.
Just, I'm wondering, because of the takeoff angle.
Yeah.
Is essentially Duesenberg, that it's in a hole,
Yeah,
except for the trees. You know, even though we got elevation, it's still in the hole in the immediate trees. I'm just wondering if that would degrade its operation.
my whisper tests on my 73-foot random, it's a Chameleon MCOM 3 portable. My whisper test at 7 watts, I had California, I had obviously Ohio, because there's 17,777 operators in Ohio. Like I had a cluster, there's a million operators in Ohio, but my whisper,
Duesenberg?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, at Duesenberg. So that when I came back from doing the fireworks show, I sat down. One of the first things I did was make myself a drink. And then at one point I did a whisper test and I had incredible, like all day.
Is a 20-meter monoband vertical.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I'm just saying that definitely the 130-foot end fed, that trap dipole and my random were definitely not operating as NVIS because and I say that only because we really hammered on a lot of the West Coast. We did pretty good up to the Continental Divide prior to the propagation changing. And then as soon as it got quiet, you could see it in our map. It was really cool to see. We were right to the Continental Divide. And then when propagation changed, it went, wow. And we had, I think all of us got California about 9 different times. It was wild, but we couldn't get, I think we missed Nevada and a few other little ones, but I'd love to pick your brain about NVIS versus where we are. Because we're pretty high with that stuff. I feel like our takeoff angles are up there. We're above 20 feet with everything we have. And even a quarter wave on that coming out of a 130-foot engine, you're still, that's cranking pretty good. But I'm all for it. I'm all for anything we can do. So
I have a comment if you guys can hear me. Larry, KD2, TLR, and I would say, listen, I had a great time at Field Day. We can talk about improvements and whatnot for next year, but Jamie, great job in organizing, and I think we really appreciate your time, your commitment, your organization. I think you did a great job in pulling everything together for this year. I had a great time, and I think a lot of people also did as well.
So
thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words, Larry, and we appreciate you being there. I know you and Kirk worked together a lot there, and you guys made a pile of contacts, so thank you. Well, thank you.
Oh, thank you, James.
Yeah, maybe.
Nice job.
Thank you.